I have to hit, got it.
You got it. So
There we
good morning. My name is Donna Reed. I am an alumni of Up With People 1976A. If you've watched any of these, you probably already know that. And this morning, my guest is Ron Beckett. And Ron, tell us where you live, where you're coming from, and when you traveled in Up With People.
Well, hi, Donna. First of all, I want to thank you for doing these. The ones I've seen have been really fun for people to see what the outcome was from our shared experience in Up With People. I started Up With People. I was at the University of Arizona, Northern Arizona University, NAU, and Up With People came through town. This was in 1971. And I was walking through the auditorium where they'd been rehearsing with my bass guitar, because I played in the jazz band, and the drummer, Dave Simpson at the time, said, hey, they were just breaking for dinner, said, hey, you want to come up and jam? I said, sure. Just walking through the auditorium, I'd been in a practice room. So one thing led to another, started jamming, the cast came back, started dancing, and said, oh, you got an interview. I said, well, okay. So I came to the show that night and spent some time. So in the summer of 1971, I joined Up With People Cast B, that was in Warwick, New York, was our staging.
Oh,
and
wow.
in the subsequent year, and I played bass, and the subsequent year, the year after that, I was in Cast C, 72C. So I traveled for 2 years. Later, I worked in the warehouse in Tucson. Well, that's
fun. So when you traveled the second year, were you then staff and played in the band? Is that?
Yeah, I was pretty much staff. I was the band director, and our sound man had to leave. He was our stage manager, so I was stage manager and band manager. But Cast C was a small group. There were roughly 20 of us.
Oh, wow.
And we were on the move, and that was a totally different experience than my first year, which was big giant cast of thousands.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
we actually played in 3 different cities in one day by plane, going from different city to city.
Holy cow. See, that's a piece of history. You know, every time I do one of these, I think, I didn't know that happened, or, you know, something like that. So it's part of the reason I like doing this is as you said, the shared stories, and then all the things that are different or unique, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So were you in the middle of college when you?
No, that was my freshman year. I graduated high school in 1970.
Okay.
At Yuma, Arizona. I know you had Zoe Carroll on here.
Oh, that's right. Zoe was on.
Good, dear friend of mine. And he was a year behind me in school. So he came into Up With People right out of high school. And I had a year of college. I was a music education major at the time.
Okay. Okay. Did you go back to college and finish?
I did, but not in music education. I went into the health sciences area. I became a respiratory therapist. Before I went into Up With People, I always wanted to teach. I wanted to teach music. I had wonderful teachers in high school. And my dad played around on the piano. So music was always a part of my life. I started playing when I was 12 years old. And then, so I knew I wanted to teach. So I got a health sciences degree and respiratory therapy. I steered my career so I could teach respiratory therapy, and later on got advanced degrees so I could stay teaching at the university level.
Nice. So when I met you, it was at Bob Huff's.
Yeah.
And that was in his studio. And I think that's when I was introducing you to my son, Adam, and he was playing some tunes, and I didn't have any idea who you were.
Yeah.
And
neither do I. That's okay.
Right. Oh, that's funny. So did you live in Tucson at that time, or were you visiting Bob?
Well, I lived in Tucson I believe I lived in Tucson at that time. We did move to California, and then now we live in Colorado.
That's right.
But with reference to Bob and Alonzo and many others, we keep in pretty close touch. So
I think that's often.
And Bob from Yuma too. Yes, that's right.
And what's funny for me when I think about how I perceive life as a kid compared to now, I always think that musicians kind of do their thing and then it's over. And you all have proven to me that if it's in your heart, it never goes away. Right?
Oh, no.
It just, it's like who you are, and you can't not be a musician, right?
Exactly. All through my professional career as a college professor, I don't like that word, but teaching in college, I played off and on with different folks. And now that I'm retired, I am playing an awful lot. In fact, Pat Murphy and I are co-directors of that event that's coming up in Chicago, the Rendezvous.
Oh, that's right, the
And,
Rendezvous. I just
yeah,
heard that.
working on putting charts together for the band. This is Dawning, a really old song.
The
So that
dawning has
has
just
you got it.
begun.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, that was great.
yeah.
So we're going to do old songs, and then Pat and I and some others have written some new songs. So we're going to show exactly what you said, that not only legacy of music that gets into a musician's heart, but in the case, in the story Up With People story, those songs that had meaning and importance have traveled through and are continuing to this day as we try and write new songs to hit those issues that we think are pertinent.
Well, and that continue to recur, sadly.
Yeah, sadly.
Right. My little brother this morning listened to the one that Wayne Duvall had done. And Wayne said that a couple of his favorite songs were Moonrider and Give the Children Back Their Childhood.
Oh, great.
And my brother and I talk about growing up in this little town of 500 people and how the world felt idyllic, and you didn't even know till you weren't there, like
exactly
what the world was really like. And so
yeah.
it's fascinating. So I typically ask people like, what were your costumes that you
we had those, oh my goodness, they were hot corduroy, the corduroy vest, corduroy pants, and these loud
bell bottoms,
Barnum and Bailey clown shirt. Yeah. And that was the first year. The next year we got a little classy because we were this small group that just whizzed around everywhere.
Yeah.
We had, I think the designer was Bonwit Teller. Now, I don't know anything about fashion. I honestly don't, if you know me. But there was these nice bell-bottom pants and pretty much a white shirt and a vest, so it was really kind of classy, just a plain vest. It wasn't anything flashy,
yeah,
but it made for a fun performing in those.
That's neat. So tell me, because I'm just kind of enthralled about this 20 people in 3 cities and all that. So what'd you do? We had a few band members and then a few singers, or
well, let's see. Oh, we had an excellent band. Ted Winchester, Joel McCall, myself, a gal named Linda Majors played piano, and she was just dynamite.
Okay.
And Dan Spivey was on drums. And when we put the band together, everybody had some experience. And this was in Burlington, where we staged the second year, Burlington, Vermont. And they wanted us to get going. So while the other cast were still forming and gelling, I think we were there probably 2 weeks. Wow. And then we did a show for the rest of the cast, and then boom, we were gone, and nobody knew where we were. We didn't know where we were. It's like being in the CIA or something. We were gone. But it was a fantastic experience, and as I say, totally different learning experience for myself anyway, and I think the others than the first year.
So I don't know your spouse. So did you meet your spouse through Up With People?
Well, I'm in a second marriage now.
Okay.
And my first wife I did.
Okay.
And we were married for a long time. We have 3 wonderful children. Okay. And then things happen as things happen. And then my current wife is really interesting because we were good friends in high school back in Yuma. Ooh. And it turns out she had been going through the same kind of thing with her very long marriage. So we just started talking and said, okay, so yeah, I'm very happily married now for almost, what year is this? Well, we were married in 2005. So
this is 2022. And I do have to remind myself of that, right?
Yeah, no, exactly.
I wrote a contract the other day for a house, and I put 2021 on 3 different. They wrote, and I'm like, lost in time. Yeah,
sure.
So tell me if you have an experience that you just like, when I send you this thing in advance, did anything just pop into your head as this was the most interesting or the weirdest or whatever?
Yeah, it certainly has. And even without your prompt, there's an experience that I had in my second year with a small group that was, I must say that has impacted my whole life. We went to the leper colony on Kalaupapa Peninsula on Molokai.
Oh, that just gave me chills just hearing you say that.
We had, if you know anything about it, there's some great books out there. One's called The Colony. And we had a gentleman in our cast, Luke Geisen, who was Belgian, and Father Damien, a Belgian priest, was ministered down there on the peninsula. He contracted what they call Hansen's disease. You're not supposed to say leper or leprosy anymore. Right. So that he contracted Hansen's disease and died there. And I think he's been canonized as a saint. But anyway, Luke had that Belgian connection. So he really wanted to go down there. So some of us hiked down because it's a 1,000-foot.
Right.
That's why they put him there. And we hiked down and got to know them, and we wanted to perform down there. Our cast director was Stephen Woods. What a character!
Oh, I like Steve. Is a good friend of my son. So that's
he's a great guy. And I don't know how he did it, but we went down there and we played a couple shows actually, and we got tour of the entire peninsula. I remember the point that it stands out, not, oh, great, we did this, wasn't that wonderful, but what impressed me most was the people, of course. These people were living when the sulfa drugs that help arrest Hansen's disease came into play. So they were on a trajectory of facing their mortality. Wow. And they were saved, and they had, digits were missing, noses were missing, ears were missing. And there was a couple there named Joseph and Mary.
Oh, that's.
Yeah, and as we were leaving, Joseph and Mary came up to me with, I think they're upstairs, with these beads that they had made and gave those to me. And
oh, right.
Anyway, one of my treasured keepsakes. And the people there were just facing what they did, all the history of it. Wow. Just wells up inside me every time I think about it. It was a statement not only about their capability to persevere, yep. To adapt, to adjust, but also it was an expression of how humans can be so cruel to one another as well. So it was this mishmash of cultural onslaught that has impacted me my whole life.
And you then being in the health industry later, I can't. So I was a 13-year-old kid in the years you're talking about this, in a town of Ohio that was as far removed from my world, right? So to hear that and think, like when Zoe told me that he got kind of in trouble for not going to Vietnam, and, and you guys, so the stories are just phenomenal. And so did you guys have to have shots or anything? What did you have to do to go down there?
Oh, nothing like that. Again, the disease is arrested, and the Hansen's disease is communicable, but you have to have really, really close contact with body fluid, saliva, or what have you. And that obviously wasn't going to happen, but it was. It was just a remarkable experience. And I think the following year, I think some casts went down there as well. So it kind of started this tradition. And to me, that really exemplifies what Up With People is all about. And people talk about, oh, we sang for the Pope, we sang for the kings and the queens. And that's oh, we've been to Carnegie Hall. Yeah. You know what? We've also been to a leper colony. Yeah. And those are the people that really are impacted by what Up With People did, and impacts the people who had the Up With People experience themselves.
When we traveled, we did several of the mental health facilities that don't exist anymore, right?
Yeah, sadly.
And again, I had just turned 18. So for me, I don't know. I think when I joined Up With People, and I don't know if you felt this way, you kind of feel like everybody's coming from the same background, even though that's not going to be true. But you clearly knew other people from Yuma that were going, and so you knew a little bit about them. And so for me, that teenager thinking that she was going to perform at a mental health facility, the impact is
No, you're absolutely right, Donna. It's we do come, and as Zoe said, Yuma was a really interesting place in that everybody just got along. There didn't seem to be cultural strife or divisions. And then we get out into the real world and get out into to the university setting, in my case, and then to New York, flying into LaGuardia with my bass guitar. And then, yeah, it's an eye opener. Then mental institutions and kings and popes.
Right. A little bit of everything. Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah.
All right. So Zoe told me that you were on the cover of People magazine. Got to hear this story, Ron.
Okay. Well, we'll go well beyond the 15-minute limit now.
Okay, the capsulized version of this.
Oh, okay, I'll do it in a nutshell. As a teaching respiratory therapy, I taught endoscopy.
Okay.
To help our therapists assist physicians, both for the bronchoscopies for the lungs and laryngoscopy for the oropharynx and so on. And a colleague of mine was gearing up to do an X-ray of a mummy. Oh. And he said, the problem is it's a two-dimensional picture. And I said, well, if I could get an endoscope in, we could give something that we can't tell what it is, contour, like this ring, like this ring.
Yeah.
If the X-ray, it could be just a bar. But when I can get the scope in, I can look around and explore it. So we devised ways to research mummies, stripping down medical equipment and actually going into the field. People had taken X-rays of mummies prior, but they didn't do it in the field. You had to bring the artifact or the mummy to an imaging facility. So we reversed that and we adopted the anthropological and archaeological model and went to the caves and the tombs and the museums, collection rooms. And we started presenting these at meetings, and we got invitations from all over the world. Then we got asked by one of our friends in Peru to help her, a well-known anthropologist there, Sonia Guillen, to help her with a project that she was doing, a Discovery Channel documentary, and she wanted to add more science. So we went to Peru and we did this work for her, and it was it's called The Desert Mummies of Peru. That was like in 2000.
Wow.
Then we had some post-production work because we would use words that they didn't understand, that producers didn't understand. They wanted to.
I can relate to that. Yeah.
So we did. I'm trying to, and so I was talking to the producers, and Jerry, my colleague Jerry Conlog, was in the office with me, and we were talking to them about how much you can learn non-destructively. So we don't have to cut up mummies. We can continue to maintain respect for these wonderful artifacts. Long story short, she was just like now, I was talking a long time, and she was taking notes. The producer was taking notes. Ultimately, they pitched the idea of Jerry and I being co-hosts of a television show. It was going to be one show. It turned out to be a 3-year series for the National Geographic Channel. So National Geographic got a hold of us, and we were the co-hosts, and we did 40 episodes. It was shown all around the world, our show. It's called the Mummy Roadshow. and that led to different types of interviews and different kinds of publications. And there was a piece in People magazine about what we did. Yeah.
Fascinating.
So, yeah, it's and aside from we never entertained, that wasn't our goal.
Right.
But I had this sort of a surfing analogy. I've surfed probably 2 summers in my entire life. I'm not a surfer, but it's a wonderful experience being out there, sitting on the board, and you can choose to take a wave, or you can just sit and relax, or you can go out on the beach. And that's kind of how I look at life. And this opportunity came up, said, well, do you guys want to do a TV series? We all know, yeah, that'd be fun. But it wasn't, something we needed to do.
Right. You didn't go into it thinking I'm going to be on TV. Yeah.
No, not at all. And we still don't. And I think that we've done a lot of different documentaries beyond that as well. But I think that our main goal, we were both teachers, and we wanted it's educational. It's fun, but it's educational. So that's what led to the People magazine. I was also,
that's awesome.
Not dropping names here, been in other magazines too.
Ooh, okay, we'll put that on. You can type that all in the notes on the Facebook page and stuff. So, okay. Up with People, favorite city you visited?
Well, I'd have to say the same thing, the Kalaupapa Peninsula. Yeah, beyond that, we had a brief but spectacular moment in Sydney, Australia.
Okay.
And I remember Dale Penny, myself, and Joel McCall having a beer, and we were going to leave up with people and run a tugboat in Sydney Harbor. We were throwing darts with the, so anyway, Sydney, the Australians are just a wonderful group of people. And that's another city that was that kind of stood out.
Neat.
Yeah, I can name a dozen. I mean,
Yeah.
every place we went was unique.
Okay, so then as a Yuma kid,
Yeah.
what was the most interesting food that you maybe tried when you first went?
Oh, out there on the road.
Because I'm assuming you got a lot of spaghetti like a lot of us did, but you know.
Yeah. I tended to not, when we set up with the cat, in terms of the cast food, that was, we all know what that was like.
Meat and cheese, one meat, one cheese.
Yeah, so I would often just skip dinner because I love sitting in a theater when it's empty. And the stage is set, some lights are on, maybe the sound technician is doing some beautiful music through the speakers, and the cast would go off, and I would just love to sit there.
Oh.
Had a great experience in Spain the second year. My good friend Ted Winchester, we were in a bullfighting arena, and we were set up, and same thing happened. People left. I actually did go get something to eat, but Ted stayed, and he went on stage and he was playing John Denver's, I came back early. He was playing John Denver's Sunshine. Caught my shoulders, and he just started it, and he saw me, and he kept vamping on it till I got there and got my bass and made that beautiful little bass entry. Yeah. And that was a moment. That was a musical moment. Now back to food. Yeah, it's funny. Oh, the pommes frites in Belgium. You know, the little cone with French fries.
Did you like the mayonnaise?
I love the mayonnaise. I still do it. Yeah.
I grew up with ketchup.
Now, so Google can improve. Let me make sure I heard you correctly.
Stop.
I think you said, did you like the
Hi, Alexa, or whoever that is.
So
That's great.
like live theater, right? You're like, they're asking me.
Fireside theater.
Google thinks I want to know if she liked it. Oh, I didn't think about that. That's so funny.
Yeah, but mayonnaise, yeah.
Yeah. So was there anything that you felt like, you know, today we have all these shows where people are on deserted islands and have to eat all this random weird stuff. Is there anything that you ate that you'd be like, I would never eat that again?
Not a thing. Traveling in the remote places I did for mummy research, like in the jungles of Papua New Guinea, very recently, I had no idea what we were eating.
Wow.
Ferns from the forest, they, steam the ferns and just all kinds of things. And in Peru, I've eaten guinea pig, cuy, they call it.
Yeah.
Spiders, just a lot of different things.
I always think I would die if I was one of those people dropped off. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Like, will that instinct kick in? I don't know.
For us too, as a matter of respecting our hosts of our culture.
Of course.
Yeah. And if they were going to have a rituals that would communicate with the ancestors, we'd work with that, because that enriches us as well as respecting them and what they've gone through in their experiences and their view of the world and life and afterlife in that case.
Yeah. So I think we're probably approaching the time. We're good. We don't know how Up With People is going to evolve, right?
Yeah, right.
It's a future that we're unsure of. And when I talk to people who have never heard of it or heard of it in the 70s and I'm like, oh, is it still around? Well, yes and no. And what does that look like? I think part of those of us who have traveled a long time ago can look back and see how it impacted our lives. If you were to talk to a 20-year-old in college right now, and this opportunity exists, what might you say to them?
That's a good question. I would say go in as yourself and come out as yourself. You will be changed, but keep true to who you are and keep your mind open. You're going to have some experiences that you've never had, and they're all going to be good. Even the bad ones are going to be good. The war stories we've all had with guys climbing on poles to we'll put the wires in so we could do the show.
Yeah.
So you're going to have experiences, but be true to yourself. You're going to make some of the best friends that you've ever had in your life. True, kind of like high school friends too.
Yeah.
You're at that time in your life when you're developing. So your development has gone through this filter of travel and cultural experiences that you can't really match.
Mhm.
So be who you are, come out who you are, enrich who you are, and enrich others at the same time. We had a series of one of the reasons I was attracted to Up With People, and I would probably tell them this too, is because it's kind of a hippie. There were three types of hippies: the druggy hippies, which I was not. There were the guys that wanted to burn down the library. I was not. But then those who just wanted to be peaceful and get along with everybody, and that was me. So the songs that were sung is what attracted me. And so in a way, for me, and I hope this would be true in current times too, the songs that we sing were important. I love music. Music is powerful. Words and lyrics are powerful, and how that is put together can be an experience, certainly for the people who deliver it, but people who receive it as well.
Yeah.
We had a series of songs at the end of the show. I think it was Dear Mother Earth, Carry It With You, Let All the People In, and then of course Roads. And those three, Carry It With You is about peace. Let All the People In was,
Yeah.
let's not build walls. And then of course Roads was, hey, we're all different, but we can all get it together.
Yeah. So you kind of answered the last question about the songs, and my little Zoom pop-up came up that says your free time is almost up, because
okay.
I don't do the paid Zoom.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
I'm gonna end it here. And thank you. And Ron, I appreciate your time. I love getting to know more about everybody. And maybe one of these days when I'm up there in Colorado and seeing Caleb in a show, maybe we could meet up, or Adam playing music or something like that.
Absolutely.
It would be fun.
Yeah.
Fun to see you again. Or if you're down this way, if you get down here to see your friends down here, it would be super great. So, all right, I'm going to stop the recording, and
thanks for having me.
Yeah.